Out of all the scenes from the last episode, there's one in specific that I can't get out of my mind, and that is when Simon talks to the Lich and tells us, the viewers, that the Lich has depression. And I find this incredibly fascinating because the Lich, as we know, is the embodiment of destruction. Created from the bomb that started the Mushroom War, the Lich is the literal evil of the entire series. He is the embodiment of destruction. He destroys everything. That is his wish, his goal, his drive, his motivation, any other word that could possibly be a synonym. But yet, he chooses to let Simon, Fionna, and Cake live. Even though he has this world where he has succeeded, his wish, the extinction of all life, has happened. He sits alone in a throne of the skulls of the people he destroyed, unsatisfied. And I find this so absolutely compelling because the Lich seems like a very simple and one-note character, but this little smidgen of depth has made him incredibly fascinating to me. So I wanted to talk about this scene between Simon and the Lich because I think it's really cool. And the reason I think it's so cool is because I think the Lich's apathy, his depression, his lack of motivation is very similar to Simon and Fionna, our two leads of the series. And I think that's just incredibly fascinating that this villain, like almost the villain of the entire series of Adventure Time, is just so much of a mirror to our main cast. And I think it's really cool. And what makes it even more of an interesting mirror moment is that we know Lich was confirmed as the last scholar of GOLB. And obviously Simon's whole motivation is to find GOLB, who is Betty, in order to see if he can save her in some fashion. So not only do Simon and the Lich have these amazing parallels in their lack of motivation, but now they have the same exact goal, which is meeting GOLB/Betty. And I think it's really, really compelling. I find the wish worlds in Adventure Time really, really fascinating. It seems as though every single wish that a person wishes they could achieve, whether it be Finn, the Lich, or any other character, has some sort of immense negative when it comes to what it actually means for the people who wanted that wish. Finn obviously evidently became the Ice King and created the Lich, even though his whole motivation was to destroy the Lich and make sure he never existed. And the Lich, even though he has exactly everything he would have wanted, the extinction of all life, has an immense profound sadness to his character. Obviously the Lich, as I said, I think is personally kind of one note, and that's the intent of the character. This newly added layer of depth has me incredibly intrigued, but it makes me wonder why exactly the Lich is feeling this way. A lot of people have been speculating if it's a connection to GOLB in some form or fashion. Now, the Lich obviously, as I said, is the last scholar of GOLB. GOLB is this unattainable sort of deity-like figure that is seemingly completely untouchable compared to any other character in the Adventure Time world. Now I think that's really interesting because it shows that not even the big leagues like Prismo or the Scarab can mess with GOLB in any fashion. And that makes me wonder, how are we going to get to this sort of endgame type thing? I've been thinking personally about the way that the Lich was used as a battery for Simon's, GOLB summoning enchantment, ritual, spell thing, and I think that's really interesting. As I said, I think there's a very clear mirror thing between the Lich and Simon, so I think it's pretty cool that they have that sort of connective tissue, and that is what leads to GOLB actually appearing into the story. Now, these two characters are inherently tied to them as the main motivation, so Simon having that flashback to Betty when he has the Enchiridion picture taken of him, his moment of actual true success, is really cool. And they actually even change the flashback's dialogue, which I thought was really, really interesting. The original dialogue is "Goodbye, Petrikov," because we know Betty is absolutely precious and only called Simon by his last name for such a long time. And then it changed to "Goodbye, Simon." Is Betty/GOLB directly talking to Simon in this moment? And I think that idea is incredibly fascinating. As I said, the Lich is connected to GOLB, Simon is trying to get GOLB to appear, and then a massive red portal appears, sucks up Simon and the Scarab, and the Lich's eye shows GOLB. And it's incredibly menacing because the Lich's eye is always green. Seeing it a very bright red, I thought was incredibly, incredibly great visual storytelling. It shows that this is a distinct, crazy difference from the usual shenanigans that go on with even the Lich. And the usual Lich shenanigans are pretty bad, so this is going to be really, really bad. And it has me very worried for Simon next episode, because again, we have heard so much tragedy from this character throughout the entirety of this miniseries. Having him directly get to his goal before the finale, I know this is going to be a tearjerker. Tom Kenny has even confirmed that this is going to be a rough time, so I can't wait. I can't wait to just suffer and have trauma. That'll be awesome. I do hope that Simon and Betty have some sort of finality, some sort of closure, and I personally think that's what the Lich wants as well. Does the Lich have any drive outside of destruction? Not really. I'm gonna be for real. I think the Lich is solely that as the goal, but as we saw in the episode Crossover, the Lich had this idea that he could go throughout all of the multiverse and destroy every single universe that's out there, and that was a pretty crazy motivation. Crazy episode, obviously one of the craziest in the whole series. The Lich is constantly a thorn in our protagonist's side, so seeing the Lich actually rise up to be the main villain would make perfect sense, since the Scarab, he's a great villain, but I feel as though the Lich is just a great sort of mirror thing where our hero and our villain have the exact same motivation. So I could easily see the Lich becoming the main villain over the Scarab even. And this would be a great way, obviously, to reincorporate the boss that everyone has been talking about for such a long time. And I think it would be really crazy that the Lich obviously took the name Jerry, which is just hilarious to me. But what if Jerry is actually the name of Prismo's boss, and the Lich just took that name because the Lich knew that no one would even know what he is? So he was just like, oh, I'll take Jerry, because no one would know what Jerry is normally either. So I think that's just a little fun theory. Regardless of that, I'm very excited to see how this series handles the sort of concept of depression that Simon, Fiona, and the Lich all have. They have what they want, seemingly. The Lich has his wish achieved. Fiona has her wish achieved of being in a fantastical new world. And Simon is seemingly about to have his wish achieved, which is meeting Betty again. But is he going to want to really meet Betty again? Is he going to see her and then realize that she is just gone, like the Ice King possibly? That would be pretty crazy. I think this idea is really cool. I like the parallel between Simon, Fiona, and the Lich. It's very depressing. It's really, really great. And before I end the video, I just want to say, first off, thank you again. We have just reached I think over 100 subs from these Adventure Time videos, going out one after the other. Clearly the wave is going. The wave is going for these Adventure Time videos. So it really means a lot that you guys are loving this content, supporting. It means a lot. I unintentionally actually made this video into a sort of series thing, because in my first video I talked about how Adventure Time has themes of love, loss, and growth, and unknowingly to me, I made the first one about Bubbleen, which is about love, and now this one is about loss. Maybe the next one will be about growth. That'd be kind of cool. Let me know what you're most excited for trauma-wise, because we know Fiona's going to have some baggage next episode as well. Maybe we'll get into her depression bag as well. That's it from me. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and have a good one.